my name is Angela Lavender and I am an artist. This video is intended for Miss Ashton's JKSK class at St. Mel Snyder School in Wellington. And today I'm going to show you guys how to paint a Canada goose like this. And we are going to do step-by-step simple instructions so that we can do it together. It might seem a little bit intimidating at first, but I know you guys can do it. I've been told you guys are really smart and creative, so let's work together to paint this goose. So to do the first step of drawing and painting a goose, you're going to need a 9x12 canvas and a black or darkly colored pencil crayon. Brown works as well, just something that you can see. And the first step we're going to do is draw a great big oval, not quite in the center and like not quite at the bottom, so like just kind of in between. And it's going to be pretty big because we want the goose to take up most of the painting. And after you do the oval shape, you can do a big long curved line, because this is going to be the neck and head of the goose. They have really long necks and really little heads, and that can go up like that. You can give the goose an eye so it can see, and you're going to draw the next part of the neck coming from the bottom of the head to the top of the belly. So just kind of make it the same curvy shape as the neck, the other side, except it comes out like that. Geese need to be able to eat, so we need to give them a beak. One line out, one line back in, and then you're going to take that line and curve it up towards their face, because that's just what is a telltale image of a geese. Geese have lots of feathers, so we're going to give them a tail, just out like that, and another line, and another line. And this is just for more feathers. It's going to be a dip down and big out and back. And another line here. And then we're going to do the feet. Kind of slanted lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for the bottom of their feet, they go back out and zigzags. 1, 2, 3 zigzags. Back out, and 1, 2, 3 zigzags. And there you have the base of your goose. Okay, now that you've got your goose outlined, you are ready to paint. And what you will need for this portion is a glass or container of water, black paint, white paint, and brown paint. And then you can use any color for your background. And I'm going to use yellow ochre because it is my favorite color. You are also going to need 3 different sized brushes, a large one, a medium one, and a long skinny one. You can find these at the dollar store. And you're going to need some paper towels and your canvas. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is be taking our favorite color and painting all around the outside of the goose, of the Canada goose, your favorite color. And we're going to be using the big brush to do that. So you're going to want to get your brush wet and just dab it on your paper towel. Get a bunch of your favorite color on to your paintbrush. And your brush, you don't want your brush to be too wet, because if it's too wet, it's all just going to drip all over the place and it's not going to really stick to your canvas. But you just want it a little bit wet, just to thin it out just a little bit. So what we're going to do is just paint the outside around the goose, and whether you paint this way or this way or this way is totally up to you, as long as you are covering the canvas. It is not a race. There is absolutely no rush. When you get close to the goose, you're going to want to slow down and try not to paint inside the lines, which can be a little bit tricky. But if you do paint inside the lines, that's okay, because the great thing about acrylic paint is that it dries really fast. So any mistakes you make, if you just give them the time to dry, take a deep breath maybe if you're upset, give them the time to dry and then paint over top of them to fix it to be the way that you want it to. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just take your time to paint. Also, just want to mention that you don't want to put the paint on too thick either, because then it will also take a really long time to dry. You don't really need to add water to it, but sometimes it just helps it glide over the canvas a little bit better. Okay, so once your background is completely painted in real time, not in speed up time like I did, you're going to want to put your big brush into the water and rinse it off. And we're actually going to be done with the big brush, so you can leave it in the water or you can dry it on your napkin. Do not drink your water, even if it is a pretty color. It is really gross. Next, we're going to get our medium-sized brush and we're going to clean that brush off. And we are going to do the black part. So we're going to get the black on our paintbrush. Just dip it in the water, dab it onto the napkin, and then get some black on your brush. So the first part we're going to paint is the neck. And so we're going to start in the center here. You can do little strokes or you can do big strokes, whatever feels comfortable to you. Everybody paints different. And see, I went inside the lines a little bit too. I'm 32 years old and I still can't even stay in the lines. So that's okay. If you see, I went in the lines here too. So it's okay if you don't stay in the lines. It doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to paint all the way down to about that line, or you can stop in the middle. I'm going to paint all the way down to the line just because I feel like that makes the most sense for what we're doing. And again, not a race. Please take your time. There. So that part is black. And I'm going to paint the tail feathers black as well. So this big one here. All the way to the end. And if the edges of your background aren't dry, it might mix in a little bit, but again, that's okay because you can just paint over top of it. I'm just rinsing off my brush because there's a lot of paint gooped up on it. And then I'm going to paint this one black as well. Now I'm going to rinse off my medium brush and use my little brush because I want to do the black in the eye and that part is small. So just a little bit of water and a little bit of paint again. If your brush looks like this, then you have too much paint on it and you need to get some off. And if it's drippy, if your brush is drippy, that means there's too much water on it. So it should just be like a little bit of paint, and you're going to very carefully do the circle in the eye and the beak. If you rest your elbow or your hand on the table, you'll be able to control your paintbrush better. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do that piece there too. So after we do the neck, the eye, the beak, we can also actually do this whole head. And we're gonna use white when this dries a bit to outline the eye. So that little eye didn't even matter. Okay. So that's the head, the neck, some tail feathers. And we are going to do, I'm going to do the back leg black. Or at least I'm pretending it's the back leg. And I'm going to rinse off my brush and get my brown color. My brown is so dark that it might even look black. And I am going to paint the rest of this leg brown. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to paint the, is it called leg feet? I don't even know. You guys know, you're the geese experts. And then split brown. So this is a dark brown that I'm doing. Cute. And I'm going to do this back feather brown. And you don't have to be fast. You take your time, pause the video if you need to. And then I'm going to do an outline of brown over this line. So I'm going to take it from the edge. And again, you can take your time. You can do little strokes or you can do a big long stroke. Going all the way up there. And curving down here. Okay, so we're going to rinse off our brush. And we're going to get that medium brush again, but we got to clean it off really good. So now we're going to be mixing white with a teeny tiny bit of brown. So a lot of white, a little bit of brown, to make kind of a dirty gray color, because if we just paint it white, it won't really look like anything. So we just want to add a bit of color to it. So we're going to paint this area up here. Actually, that'll probably work better with the small brush, but it doesn't really matter. There we go. And then we're going to paint this bottom part. So this is our brownie gray color. And we're going to fill in all along the bottom. And what shape we did. And then we're going to mix it with more brown. So it's probably equal parts brown and white, so that it looks a bit more like this, a little bit darker. And we're going to paint in this area, and it's okay if you mix that in. And paint that area. And with this color, you can go throughout this area and mix and do little strokes. And that's gonna make it look like your goose has feathers, which of course he or she does. And just over and over. And because this one is still wet, it'll mix really well. Mix, 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 mix. And we're gonna use that same color. You might need more on your brush or you might not, and you can fill in these little parts here. It's darker because it's shadowed by its body. There. Then rinse that brush off. Get your skinny brush and just some white on your brush. And we're going to do little strokes, little over here in between the neck and the belly. And this part is something you can take your time on. It's a part you don't even need to do if you're happy with your painting the way it is. But we're just trying to combine these two areas by using little white brush strokes and making the feathers more prominent, which means stand out more. And while you're painting your goose, you can think about what you can name your goose. Maybe you could think of something that starts with a letter G, like Gabby Goose or Gobbles Goose or Gary Goose. And just keep doing little brush strokes to make it look like the goose has feathers. And as you get further away, you can do the brush strokes further and further apart. Or you can keep doing it close together. It's your goose, so you paint it how you want to. But it should start to look a bit like a goose. And then you can add a couple long brush strokes here and a couple little ones here. And by the time you've taken your time to do all of these teeny tiny little brush strokes, if you want to, then this area should start to be a little bit dry. So you can take your brush, rinse it off, make sure it's rinsed off really good so that it looks like it did right when you started. Get some white paint, just a little bit, just a little dab. And you're going to do a teeny tiny C for the eye, or you can do a full circle. Or you can just leave it black. And you can also do a little bit of a glimmer on the geese. This is on the, I just said geese's, on the goose's beak. And same with the feet. You can do a little bit, just a little bit of white for a little shine if you want to. And then, I don't know about you, but I always sign my name. So you can do that in black or in white at the bottom of your painting. And so I would write A-N I'm just gonna write Ange. That's my name. Or if you're Henry, I'm Mom. And there you have it. You have a Canada Goose. So it's okay if your painting doesn't look like mine. I want your painting to look like yours, like you did it. And thank you for painting with me today. I hope you guys had fun, and maybe we can do this again sometime.